Hello and welcome back to my channel, A Small Line Books. I'm very excited because June is the beginning of Read Caribbean Month. It is officially going to be Caribbean American Heritage Month here in the United States, but please, if you're not in the United States, it is still Read Caribbean Month, not just here. The two just happen to coincide. And as somebody of Trinidadian and Bajan heritage living in the US, I am always raving about Caribbean books, mostly because I feel like I wasn't really exposed to the breadth of literature by Caribbean authors. Obviously in English lit in school we did study some Caribbean authors, but I don't think it was as wide-ranging and it wasn't as popularized. So, you know, on my free time as a kid, I always read American or English books. And now as an adult, I kind of really want to reconnect with my culture in the literary form. So I have a stack of books all from my shelf, no new books that I bought recently, that I want to get through this June. And I have a goal this year of reading my entire TBR, which is, it's going. But I really want to read the books that I own before buying new books. So this is part of that mission as well. So I have a couple books here, and I have some that I'm gonna actually borrow from the library on my Kindle that I want to read, like a couple of non-fiction pieces that I might be able to get to. We'll see. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you read Caribbean this month, and I hope that, yeah, that you read Caribbean all the time. Alright, let's jump right into it. The first book is The Star Side of Bird Hill by Naomi Jackson. This one is set in Barbados and Brooklyn. And basically it follows the lives of these two sisters who were sent from Brooklyn to Barbados to live with their grandmother after their mother is going through an issue. And they're somewhere with their grandmother, who happens to be a midwife, and also she practices obeah, and obeah is basically akin to witchcraft. I don't necessarily want to use the word witchcraft because I feel like it has a negative connotation to it, but that's the best way that I can describe obeah. It's a spiritual practice rooted in the supernatural. So yeah, their grandmother is a practitioner of obeah. It's definitely a coming of age story. It definitely kind of explores familial relationships, the connection to the diaspora, connection to the homeland, sibling relationships, and you know, one of the sisters wants to stay in Brooklyn, or wants to go back to Brooklyn, and one wants to stay in Barbados to really explore her heritage, and you see that rift. Very excited for this one. I haven't read that many books set in Barbados, even though I lived there my whole life. So I'm very excited to start off the month with The Star Side of Bird Hill. The next book that I have is Crip by Edwidge Danticat. I love Edwidge Danticat's writing. I want to read more of her. She's an Asian American author. I've read Everything Inside by her a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I thought she was so lyrical. Her prose was just so sweet. I just really loved how she wrote. Crip is one of her earlier works, I believe. And what I love about the title is that I learned in college from my Haitian friends that when Haitians do storytelling, the storyteller says crip and the listeners say crack, and then the story is told. And I really enjoyed that kind of insertion of culture in the title. From what I gather, this collection of stories deals a lot with womanhood, the lives of women in Haiti and the diaspora, and I think it's about, let's see how many stories are in here. There are 9 stories in here, so I'm very intrigued by this, and just want to really cover Edwidge Danticat's entire collection of works, and hopefully I can, you know, keep it going after this. So the next one I have is Shapeshifter by Pauline Melville. I got this from Rebel Women's Lit. They had a subscription a couple of years ago where you basically get shipped these books that are not that popular from the Caribbean, or in terms of, like, you know, very intensely popular. I got this in that. It's Shapeshifter, and Pauline Melville is a English Guyanese author, and this is a collection of stories, and I had thought it was a book, like a novel. It's a collection of stories. I don't really know the theme, but I was assuming it was going to be more supernatural, but apparently it is. It's infused with Caribbean magic. It says here that it's the sheer malevolence of everyday life It's offset with hilarity, making these stories both unsettling and funny. But there's not much, I can't find much online about what the book is about. So I guess I'll read it and I'll see. So the next book I have was also part of that Rebel Woman Lip subscription, and it is Windward Heights by Maryse Condé. This was originally written in French, translated to English. She is a Guadeloupean author. Again, one of these books just that does not have what the story is about on it. But I'm gonna read it from Goodreads because I really don't know what it's about. It's a reimagining of Emily Bronte's passionate novel as a tale of obsessive love between the African raised and Kathy, the half-Creole daughter of the man who takes Reze in and raises him, but whose treatment goads him into rebellious flight. Retaining the emotional power of the original, Condé shows Caribbean society in the wake of emancipation. Okay, oh my god. Windward Heights, Wuthering Heights. I've never read Wuthering Heights though. But so it's basically a reimagining of Wuthering Heights. Cool, understood. It just seems like one of those classics, like Caribbean classics. So I'm very intrigued by this. I've never read anything from anyone from the French Caribbean, I don't think. No. So I'm excited for this one. The other book I feel like I have a lot of stories in here. I'm gonna be a little, let's see. I love short stories, but I think it's a little much. It's The Island by Dion Irving. This is a Jamaican author or a Jamaican American author, I believe. I'm always, oh my god, I'm wrong. It's a Jamaican Canadian. She's from Toronto. This follows the lives of Jamaican women. So immigrants, descendants of immigrants who are located all across the world, and we are learning their stories and their narrative. What's interesting about this one is that the stories span from the 50s to the present day, and that's really hard to do as a writer, I believe, because like I'm a writer, if I can say so. I find it really hard to write in the past because I'm so young. Like I'm talking like past. Like I find it difficult to write like in the 60s. Like, I don't have the context for what the 60s was like, and I feel like I have to do a lot of reading and archival research to like unpack and understand that. So I'm intrigued by this. I find it admirable that she would write in these stories spanning different time frames. That's hard to do in one collection. So yep, The Islands by Dion Irving. Mermaid of Black Conch. And it's by Monique Rofi, who is Trinidadian. This actually was published a while ago, and then it was republished by another, I believe it was published in the US this last year, late last year, and this is the new cover. It's absolutely beautiful. This is an enchanting tale of a mythical creature who falls in love with a fisherman. It's like a mermaid story, and she has to learn how to be human, what it means to be human, and what love is, and that's as much as I've gathered from this one. But I've seen a lot of good reviews from this, and I'm really excited to delve into it. I'm interested in mythical tales, and I think the mermaid setup is really interesting, especially thinking through Caribbean folklore and like what that means in those settings. Last book that I want to read this month is How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney. It's a dense one, it's a hard one, it's not easy, it's not fun, but I've been meaning to read it for a long time, since I was like 17. So I borrowed that from the library on my Kindle, and I'm gonna delve into that one, taking it slow. So I'm gonna read that simultaneously with the fiction pieces, so I can at least get through one nonfiction this month. But I think that will be really good. And Walter Rodney was a Guyanese thinker, a Guyanese author, a Guyanese scholar who was assassinated. But his work still rings through today. I think it was published in like the 60s, but it's still really valuable information. It might be a little outdated in some regards, but I think it's still really important. So these are all the books. I think it's a sizable but doable stack. I am so excited for this month. I love seeing what other people are reading in regards to like Read Caribbean Month. And also it's Pride Month too, and I really like to see what people are reading for that. So look forward to a video from me recommending Caribbean books to read. So I can only recommend books I have already read, right? So recommending Caribbean books that I think that you would like, that I really loved and enjoyed. And I'm also going to do a Caribbean reading vlog this month, so stay tuned for that as well. As always, thank you for rhyming with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Instagram. My bookstagram page is smalllinebooks. Yeah, until then, stay good and stay irie.